My ex used my money to pay her college tuition, then dumped me for a doctor. Now she wants me back, but I'm richer without her. I'm a 27-year-old guy. And this all started when I was 22, broke, in love, and stupidly hopeful. Back then, I worked night shifts unloading delivery trucks while studying IT online during the day. My girlfriend, Emily, was in her second year of med school. Smart, beautiful, way out of my league. I used to joke that one day she'd be patching people up in the ER while I'd be patching up their Wi-Fi. She'd laugh, kiss my forehead, and say, "We're in this together, remember?" God, I believed her. We lived in this tiny one-bedroom apartment near campus, the kind with flickering lights and that weird smell in the hallway we could never quite place. Every dollar mattered. We split bills down the middle, or at least we tried. When Emily couldn't make rent because her books had drained her account, I covered it. When her laptop died during finals week, I gave up my own upgrade and bought her one. I chalked it up to love, partnership, sacrifice. That's what you do when you believe you're building a future with someone. But then came the tuition problem. She was short. Way short. Her financial aid got delayed or denied. I can't remember exactly. I just remember her sitting on the couch, head in her hands, whispering, "If I can't pay, I'll have to drop this semester." It crushed me. I hated seeing her like that. So I did what felt right. I offered her my savings. It was around $6,000, money I'd been slowly putting away for years, my emergency fund, my maybe someday startup fund. She said no at first, then cried, then hugged me for 10 straight minutes without saying a word. A week later, I wired it straight to her school's payment portal. She never even asked again, and that's when the shift began. Quiet at first, but enough to make me feel like something I couldn't name was starting to slip. At first, I brushed it off. She was stressed. Med school was no joke, and I knew the pressure could eat people alive. But something had changed. It started small. Less time together. Shorter texts. A shift in tone I couldn't put my finger on. Before, she'd rush to the door when I got home from work, throw her arms around me like I'd been gone a year. Now, she barely looked up from her textbook. Then came the wardrobe upgrades. She started dressing differently. Expensive heels, new bags, makeup I knew she couldn't afford on her own. I didn't ask questions. I assumed she was just trying to fit in with the hospital crowd. One day I jokingly said, "Did Louis Vuitton start handing out scholarships?" She didn't laugh. Just looked at me and said, "You wouldn't get it." That stung more than I expected. I started noticing the name Ryan pop up now and then. In conversations, in passing remarks, always with a dismissive shrug. "Oh, Ryan from my rotation," or "Ryan cracked the dumbest joke today." I asked once, casually, "So who's Ryan?" She smiled like I was being silly and replied, "Just a guy in my program. He's harmless, but something felt off." The way she smiled when she said his name, it wasn't the way you talk about someone harmless. Still, I didn't press. I told myself I was being insecure. I told myself I trusted her. After everything I'd done, every bill I'd covered, every night I stayed up helping her study while running on 2 hours of sleep, I had to trust her. Right? But trust only goes one way when the other person starts building a future without you. And the night she forgot our anniversary was the first time I let the silence between us stretch into resentment and fear. Our third anniversary came and went like it was any other Tuesday. No card. No dinner, not even a text. I sat there on the couch, cheap takeout getting cold beside me, staring at the door like a fool, telling myself she must have gotten caught up at the hospital, or maybe she was planning some late surprise. At 10:47 p.m. she walked in, still in her scrubs, hair tied back, exhausted. I said softly, "You forgot." She blinked at me, confused. "Forgot what?" I didn't answer. I didn't have to. Her face crumpled for a second, not in guilt but in annoyance, like I'd just handed her an inconvenience. She sighed and said, "I've had a long day, okay? Can we not do this right now?" That was the first time I saw it. Her distance wasn't accidental anymore. It was intentional. The next few weeks, things unraveled fast. She stopped asking me about my day, stopped waiting up when I got home. Her phone was always face down, locked tight, vibrating with messages she never acknowledged. One night, I came home early from work. A busted delivery schedule gave me a free evening. I opened the door quietly, hoping to surprise her. Laughter drifted from the bedroom. I froze. I couldn't hear the words, just her voice. high-pitched, playful, light in a way I hadn't heard in months. I took a step forward and the laughter stopped. Then, "I gotta go. He's home." I stood there like stone, heart beating in my throat. She walked out of the bedroom seconds later, startled to see me, her phone clutched tightly in her hand. She stammered, "Oh, hey." "You're early," I didn't ask. I didn't accuse. I just nodded and went straight to the shower, because deep down, I already knew, and denial is louder when it's fueled by love you don't want to lose. 2 days later, I found the receipt. It was folded in half, jammed into the pocket of her winter coat, the one I almost never saw her wear anymore. I wasn't snooping. I was doing laundry. I shook it loose, thinking it was trash, until I saw the logo, Le Papillon, one of the most expensive French restaurants downtown. A place we'd always joked about going to someday. I unfolded it slowly. 2 entrees, a bottle of wine, dessert, 212s paid in full. Dated the same night she told me she was studying late at the hospital. My stomach dropped. Not because of the money, but because I already knew who she was there with. I didn't even need to see a name. But life has a way of confirming your worst fears. Scribbled in smudged pen on the tip line was the name Ryan. I sat down at the kitchen table and stared at the receipt for what felt like an hour. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was a group dinner. Maybe a celebration. Maybe someone else picked up the bill and she just had the receipt. But those are the lies you tell yourself when the truth is too humiliating to hold. That night, I waited until she came home. Her hair was curled, makeup fresh, wearing a dress I'd never seen before. She didn't even flinch when she saw me sitting there in the dark. I held up the receipt. She froze. Just for a second. Then said, "You were going through my stuff?" No apology, no denial. Just deflection, I whispered. "Is it Ryan?" She didn't say anything, just looked away. That silence was the loudest confession I've ever heard, and that's when the numbness started to creep in, slow, thick and cruel, wrapping around my chest like cement I couldn't breathe through. She finally spoke. "Look, I didn't mean for it to happen. It just did." I sat there staring at her. That's all she had? No apology, no shame. Just a weak, limp excuse tossed at me like I was supposed to nod and move on. I asked, "How long?" My voice barely came out. She sighed like I was inconveniencing her. "A few months. Maybe longer. I don't know." That "maybe longer" hit me like a punch in the ribs. I felt my throat tighten, but I didn't cry. I couldn't. I was too stunned, too hollowed out from the inside to feel anything sharp. I just kept picturing her with him. Laughing, eating, doing all the things we used to do, but now without the struggling boyfriend who worked night shifts to pay her tuition. My tuition money, that I gave her, so she could be closer to him. "You used me," I said quietly. She looked at me, deadpan. "I didn't use you. I changed, and you didn't." I swear to God, in that moment, I felt something inside me snap. Not in rage, but in realization. She'd already justified it in her head. To her, I was a stepping stone. The safe option until something shinier came along. She started packing that night. No tears, no begging. Just methodical, robotic movements. She didn't even ask if I'd be okay. Didn't ask where I'd go. I watched her fold the sweater I bought her last Christmas, like she was packing for a weekend getaway. Right before she left, she turned to me and said, "You'll find someone better for you. Someone who matches your vibe." Then she walked out, and just like that, 3 years of my life, my love, my money, my future, disappeared behind a closing door with heels clicking like a metronome on tile. The silence after she left was unbearable. The apartment felt bigger, colder, like even the air didn't want to be around me. Her side of the bed was still warm that night, and I laid there staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out where I had gone wrong. Was I not enough? Too boring, too safe? In truth, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them together, laughing in that dimly lit French restaurant, her hand on his arm, her smile the same one I hadn't seen in months. The betrayal looped in my head like a scene on repeat, and no matter how many times I tried to rewind, I couldn't find the part where I should have stopped it. The worst part? I didn't just lose her. I lost everything. My savings were gone. Rent was due. I had $216 in my account and a maxed out credit card with a $1,000 limit. I stopped eating full meals. I skipped showers. I didn't return my boss's calls. I started pulling away from everyone, even my sister, who kept texting, "You okay?" I wasn't. 2 weeks later, my landlord slipped an eviction notice under the door. I stared at it for hours. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just folded it neatly, packed 2 duffel bags, and walked out. I slept in my car that night, parked behind an abandoned mechanic shop. The smell of oil and damp concrete crept in through the cracked window as I curled up on the back seat. With a hoodie for a pillow, that's when it hit me. She didn't just leave me. She drained me. Financially, emotionally, mentally. I had nothing left to give anyone, not even myself, and as I laid there staring at the roof of my car, I whispered into the dark, "You broke me," but even then I didn't realize. Rock bottom had a basement. I didn't have some magical wake-up moment. There was no inspirational quote, no motivational podcast, no stranger handing me a coffee and telling me it would get better. Just one cold morning in late November, sitting in my car with my breath fogging up the windows, I looked at my reflection in the rearview mirror and barely recognized the guy staring back, eyes sunken. Beard patchy, shirt from 3 days ago, and something in me whispered, either get up or give up. I chose to get up. I drove to a local tech repair shop where an old friend of mine, Malik, worked. We hadn't talked in years, not since high school. I walked in exhausted and unshowered and said, "You still need help?" He looked me over and said, "You look like shti." I laughed for the first time in weeks. "Thanks, that a yes?" He nodded. "You start tomorrow." No questions asked. I almost broke down right there. The job was simple. Fix busted screens, clean ports, replace dead batteries. Nothing glamorous, but it gave me something I hadn't had in a long time. Structure. A reason to get out of the car in the morning. A reason to stop feeling like a ghost. At night, I still couldn't sleep. So I started watching coding videos on YouTube, tutorials, breakdowns, bootcamp lectures. I'd always been curious, but I never had the time. Now all I had was time. I started tinkering with basic HTML, then Python, then small app mockups. Something about it felt right. Like puzzle pieces finally sliding into place. I didn't know it then, but that cracked screen job, that was the first brick in the new life I didn't know I was building. And for the first time since she left, I wasn't thinking about revenge. I was thinking about becoming someone I didn't hate waking up to. Malik let me take an old laptop home, one that a customer never picked up. It was slow, ran hot, and the C key was missing, but I treated it like gold. Every night after work, I'd sit in the corner of the 24-hour laundromat near the gas station, stealing their Wi-Fi, my hoodie pulled up, earbuds in, eyes glued to the screen. I was learning to code like my life depended on it, because honestly it did. Hours blurred together. JavaScript tutorials became muscle memory. I built little calculators, to-do apps, useless games. I started freelancing on cheap platforms, $20 gigs fixing CSS bugs or debugging lines of code for clients halfway across the world. It wasn't much, but I was doing something. I was building. Every dollar I made went into a PayPal account. I didn't touch it. I didn't even look at it for the first month. I was too scared it would vanish like everything else I cared about. Malik started noticing. One day he said, "You've changed. You don't walk like someone who's waiting to fall apart anymore." I smiled. I don't have time to fall apart. Around this time, I came across a guy on Reddit who'd built an appointment booking system for small clinics. It was buggy, outdated, but simple. I messaged him, bought the basic framework for $100, and spent the next 2 months completely overhauling it. It was clunky, ugly, but it worked. My first real client was a small physiotherapy clinic downtown. The owner, Ms. Patel, wrote me a check for $500 and said, "You're sharp. Ever thought of going big with this?" That sentence echoed in my head for days. I hadn't thought of going big. I was just trying to survive. But something about the way she said it, like she saw something in me I had forgotten, made a new question form in my chest. What if I could build something that outlived the heartbreak? The first time I saw my name on a business check, I just stared at it. $500 paid to the order of my name memo. Appointment app customization. It felt surreal. like holding proof that I wasn't a failure anymore, that I could create something from nothing. No handouts, no borrowed money, no partner to validate me. Just me. That little win lit a fire under me. I spent the next few weeks polishing the app, cleaned up the UI, added features for SMS reminders, built a basic dashboard for staff logins. I didn't sleep much. My days were still full of broken phone screens and cracked logic boards, but my nights were mine. I posted the app on a freelance platform with a simple pitch: custom appointment software for small clinics, clean, reliable, affordable. Within a week, I had 2 more clients, a dental office and a therapist who ran her practice out of her guest house. They didn't care that I wasn't a company. They cared that I listened, delivered fast, and didn't charge Silicon Valley prices. I used the money to move into a shared studio, 4 roommates. Tiny kitchen, no privacy, but no more sleeping in a car. The ironic part? I was slowly breaking into healthcare tech, the world Emily had chosen over me. Sometimes I'd get emails from clients asking for medical integration features. I'd research HIPAA laws until 3 a.m., trying to keep up. Each new request became a challenge, a chance to prove I could build in a space I was never invited into. And every time I shipped a new version of the app, I whispered the same sentence to myself like a prayer: "You didn't ruin me. You revealed me, and I had no idea." The next time her name showed up in my life, it wouldn't be through heartbreak. It would be through karma. It came through a text from a mutual friend I hadn't heard from in over 2 years. "Yo, you seen Emily lately?" I stared at the message for a while before replying, "No. Why?" His response came back with a screenshot, a blurry photo of Emily at some local lounge, sitting alone, drink half empty, looking like she hadn't slept in days. The caption said, "Ryan dumped her. Ghosted. Took a job in Seattle. She's back in town, staying with her sister." I didn't know how to react. I felt nothing. No joy, no pity, no triumph. Just a strange, eerie calm. Like watching a movie scene you'd already predicted, but still needed to see play out. Apparently, Ryan had been seeing someone else on the side. Another doctor. One with a last name that probably looked better on his future clinic door. When he got the new job, he packed up, blocked her, and disappeared. No explanation. No goodbye, just like she did to me. I didn't reach out. I didn't comment. I didn't gloat, but I did screenshot the message and quietly saved it to a folder on my desktop titled Perspective. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It wasn't even about justice. It was about clarity. She used to speak about Ryan like he was her upgrade, like I was the practice boyfriend and he was the prize. Now she was back where we started, but I wasn't the same man anymore. I wasn't standing in place waiting for her return. I was already gone. And while she was licking wounds from a man who tossed her aside, I was about to sign my first partnership contract with a local software incubator. The timing felt poetic, but fate wasn't done yet. Because the universe had one more plot twist waiting, one that would bring her right back into my world. Whether I wanted her there or not, 3 years after she walked out of my life, I stood on stage at a healthcare tech conference, holding a mic with my company's logo glowing behind me. The room was full of investors, doctors, clinic owners, people I used to think lived in another world. I was no longer the guy sleeping in his car. I was the founder and CEO of a growing tech startup with 6 employees, 3 app licenses, and a beta product already being tested in regional clinics. I was doing a live demo when I spotted her. 3rd row, left side, hair shorter, eyes hollow, sitting stiff like she didn't want to be noticed. Or maybe like she didn't know how to look at me. I kept talking like I hadn't seen her, like she was just another face in a sea of strangers. But inside, something shifted. Not bitterness, not ego, just quiet recognition. After the presentation, I was flooded with handshakes and business cards. Someone offered to buy me a drink. I smiled, politely declined, and made my way to the back exit, but not before glancing one last time toward her row. She was gone. I figured that was it. A fluke. A weird collision of 2 timelines that were never meant to meet again. But that night, my phone lit up. Emily, message request. "Hey, long time no talk. You looked great up there." I just stared at it. It didn't sting. It didn't spark. It felt like a ghost brushing past your shoulder, familiar but powerless. I didn't respond. 2 days later. "I was just thinking about us. Mind if we catch up sometime?" I still didn't reply, but the messages kept coming. Not desperate, just strategic. Like she was trying to reopen a door she once slammed shut, and what she didn't realize was that door wasn't just closed, it had been rebuilt, reinforced, and sealed from the inside. 3 weeks passed before I finally replied. Not because I missed her, not because I was curious, but because closure deserved a face. Sure, I typed back. Let's catch up. Coffee? Wednesday? She responded in seconds. Yes! Same cafe near the old apartment? The irony made me laugh. The same place I once waited for her on our anniversary, clutching flowers she never showed up for. I chose a different spot, newer, brighter, filled with glass walls and exposed brick. Modern, evolved, just like me. I got there early. Not out of eagerness, just instinct. When she walked in, I almost didn't recognize her. The confidence was gone. Her shoulders curled inward. No makeup, hair tied up in a messy knot. She scanned the room until she spotted me, then gave that same nervous smile I used to fall for. Hey, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. Hey. There was an awkward silence. She reached for the menu. I didn't bother. She started slow. Asked about the company, the app, how I got into tech. I gave surface-level answers. Polite, vague. She nodded along, biting her lip like she wanted to say something deeper. Then came the line I knew was coming. I've been thinking about us a lot lately, about how good we had it, about how safe it felt with you. I sipped my coffee. She leaned in slightly. Are you seeing anyone? I smiled. Yeah, I'm married. Her face faltered. To my startup, I added, still smiling. She let out a half laugh, the kind you use to hide the sting. You always were clever. There was another pause. She looked down at her cup, and I could feel the weight of everything unsaid settling in the space between us. She was fishing, but I wasn't biting, because I already knew how this story ended. And this time, I was the one turning the page. She texted that same night. I messed up. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I was scared back then. You were so loyal, so steady, and I thought I needed excitement. I thought Ryan was something more. I didn't reply. The next morning, I see now that what we had was rare, real. You didn't deserve how I treated you. I was selfish, and I ruined the best thing I ever had. Still, I stayed silent. She followed it up with a selfie, no filter, no makeup. Just her in what looked like her sister's kitchen. The caption read, I'd give anything to go back to before I hurt you. Even just one dinner. One walk? Anything? I stared at the photo longer than I wanted to. Not because I missed her, but because I wasn't angry. I wasn't bitter, I just didn't feel it anymore. And I realized that was the real closure. So I wrote one final message. Simple, unemotional, true. You broke something that never got fixed. I didn't block her. I didn't delete her. I just let it sit there, read, but unanswered. A quiet ending to a storm she started. Later that evening, I stood on the balcony of my new apartment. City lights blinking in the distance. My app had just been approved by a hospital network in 3 states. I had interviews lined up, funding offers, real traction, and in the middle of it all, peace, not revenge. Not payback, just knowing I made it without her. Knowing I became everything she thought I couldn't, and maybe, just maybe, she'd spend the rest of her life wondering what it felt like to lose someone who would have given her the world, just for the chance to build it together. A week later, she tried one last time. Can we talk? I keep replaying everything in my head. I don't want money. I don't want pity, I just want to know if there's a version of us that still exists. I didn't answer. She waited a few hours and then followed it with, You were the safest place I ever knew. Safe. That word used to mean something to me. Now it just sounded like code for you were easy to use. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need her to suffer. But I also didn't owe her a single ounce of healing. Not after the way she shattered me and walked away without looking back. So I posted something that night. Nothing dramatic. Nothing loud. Just a photo of me and my team standing in front of our new office space, smiling. Caption, new location. New contracts. Same vision. Let's build. 10 minutes later, she liked it, then unliked it, then liked it again. I knew exactly what that meant. She wanted me to know she saw it. She wanted me to wonder. But I didn't. Instead, I turned off my phone and poured a glass of wine. She used to be the center of my world. Now she was just another message request. I didn't feel like opening, because I was finally living a life she was never meant to be part of. And somewhere in the quiet of my living room, surrounded by whiteboards, planning docs and unopened investor emails, I smiled and whispered, "You don't get to come back just because you finally see what you walked away from." And the truth was, I never wanted her to beg. I just wanted her to see me happy, without her. It was a Thursday morning when my story hit the front page of a local business magazine. The headline read, "From Rock Bottom to CEO, How One Man Turned Heartbreak into a Healthcare Tech Empire." I hadn't even planned the interview. A journalist reached out after one of our clients mentioned us during a panel. They loved the underdog angle, asked me to walk them through it. The nights in my car, the first check, the quiet comeback, I almost left Emily out of it, almost. But I didn't use her name. Just said, someone I trusted deeply used my love and my savings to build a future without me. So I decided to build something better. Without her, they printed it. Word for word. A week later, I got another message request, Emily. Wow. So I'm the villain now? You're doing interviews about me like I was some obstacle. That's not fair. I didn't reply. She followed up. You have no idea how hard it's been for me. Ryan left. My license got delayed. I'm still trying to find a residency spot. Meanwhile, you're out here living some fantasy life off our history. Our history. As if we built this together. As if she hadn't walked away when I had nothing but her and a $6,000 hole in my account. And just like that, I realized she wasn't heartbroken. She was humiliated, not because she missed me, but because the man she discarded in the name of ambition had become someone she couldn't reach anymore. Someone above her line of sight. I didn't respond. I didn't screenshot. I didn't even smile. I just archived the message, closed the app, and got back to work. Because while she was busy trying to rewrite the past, I was busy building the kind of future she'd never get to touch. I stood in my office late one night, the city glowing below, my name etched into the glass on the door behind me, founder and CEO. The same hands that once trembled holding eviction notices now held contracts worth more than I used to make in a year. The same heart that once broke over a $212 dinner receipt now beat steady. Not cold, not bitter, just untouchable. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't chasing some cinematic revenge arc or waiting for her to grovel. I was just done needing closure. Done revisiting what could have been. Done wondering what she saw in Ryan, what I lacked, what I could have changed. I didn't lack anything. I was just too much for someone who thought love meant convenience and ambition meant betrayal. One night, I got a call from Malik. Bro, he laughed. Remember when you were fixing cracked screens and eating cup noodles in my supply closet? I smiled. Every damn day. He paused and said, She ever reach out again? I looked out the window, city lights like stars in reverse. Yeah, a few times, he chuckled. You ever think about what you'd say to her now? I did think about it. Often. And every time the answer was the same. She bet on a doctor, I said. I bet on myself. I paused, feeling the weight of it settle like a full stop at the end of a long, painful sentence. Guess who won? That was it. No dramatic final scene. No tables flipped. Just quiet, unstoppable growth. Just healing that didn't need an audience. Just a man who got broken and built something bulletproof out of the pieces. And the truth? I didn't need her to regret losing me. I just needed to become someone who would never go unnoticed again. And now that I had, I was richer without her. In every way.